Welcome everyone. So today we will start with our new topic, which is importance of pH in everyday life. In some of the last classes we discussed about pH in detail. So today we will discuss that how pH is related with our everyday life. As you can see under this topic there are several examples given. So the first one is, are plants and animals pH sensitive? Our body works within the pH range of 7 to 7.8. Living organisms can survive only in a narrow range of pH change. When pH of rainwater is less than 5.6, it is called acid rain. When acid rain flows into the rivers, it lowers the pH of the river water. The survival of aquatic life in such rivers becomes difficult. So this is saying that in the first two line you can see that it is just saying what is the pH range for the living organisms to survive. As you can see, this range is very narrow. It is just from 7 to 7.8. That means it is you can say it is almost the neutral value, neutral pH value for the living organisms to survive in a better condition. Now in this topic they have discussed in detail about acid rain. So what is acid rain? Acid rain is defined as when the pH of rainwater becomes lower than 5.6, then that is said to be acid rain. Now you just consider that as we have discussed also, the pH value of pure water or distilled water is exactly 7. Now in case of acid rain, pH of that rainwater it becomes lower than that of 5.6. That means it is much acidic as compared to the pH value of pure water. So that is why when this is the condition, when the pH value becomes lower than 5.6, it is said to be acid rain, and it is causing lot of problem. It is having very harmful effects on all living organisms, especially for aquatic animals, as this rainwater, this acid rain, it is getting collected in water bodies like rivers, lakes, etc. So in this topic they have not given so much in detail about the reason of acid rain and any other thing, but let us talk about the reason as it is related with chemistry. So how we are getting acid rain, or how acid rain is getting, you can say, produced. It is because, see, what happens actually, we are having lot of factories, lot of industries, and they are burning fuels or some of the fossil fuels and any other material, and generally the exhaust from the chimneys, they are uh, having oxides of sulfur like sulfur dioxides or sulfur trioxides, or they are containing some oxides of nitrogen. There are a lot of oxides of nitrogen, especially, or the common ones are nitrogen dioxide or nitrogen trioxide. Now when these oxides or these gases, when they are combining with water molecules, or they are combining with water vapors which is present in our atmosphere, then they are producing acids. For example, when sulfur dioxide, it is combining or it is getting dissolved in water molecule present in atmosphere, it is producing sulfurous acid. When sulfur trioxide, it is dissolving in water molecules, then it is producing sulfuric acid. Same way, when nitrogen oxides, when the different oxides of nitrogen, when they are dissolving in water molecules or water vapor, they are producing nitrous acids or nitric acids. So these acids, these acids now, they remain suspended in our atmosphere, and during rain, when it rains, then these acids, they are just coming down on earth with the help of rainwater, or when and they are dissolving, you can say, when it is raining, then these acids which is suspended in our atmosphere, they comes down with the help of rainwater, they get dissolved again in rainwater, and they are just coming down on earth, and especially they are getting collected in water bodies. Now what happens actually in water bodies, suppose the pH is, although the pH exactly is not 7 in case of river water or any other water, as they are containing some of the salts and some other dissolved materials, but when the acid rains, it is getting collected in water bodies, then it is lowering down the pH to much greater extent. It can be below 6. So that is why now we can see that the pH range for the living organisms, it is only from 7 to 7.8, and when the pH it is getting lower than that 7, then it is causing lot of harmful effects for the aquatic animals, and some of the aquatic animals, they are much sensitive towards pH, and they are not able to survive also, and they are just dying in a bulk. So this is the you can say the most common problem, or the one of the major issue this acid rain is causing. So this is about the acid rain and the reason that why we are having acid rain. And you must have read about it, or you must have heard about acid rain, the effect of acid rain, that it is causing also so much problem to the historical monuments. For example, Taj Mahal, especially marbles and all, which is made up of limestone, as the acid rain it is containing acids, then marbles, if it is made up of some calcium carbonate or any other compound, especially it is made up of calcium compounds, then they are reacting, and that is the reason that it is decolorizing also. So it is having lot of effects. Actually acid rain is the main topic which comes under environmental education or environmental science, as very small part of acid rain is it is related with chemistry. So especially the reason, that is why I have told you about acid rain. Sometimes acid rain, the question is asking that how you can define acid rain, and the pH, that at what pH we can say that rainwater becomes acid rain. So this is especially the questions which comes. So this is about the first example. Now the second one is, what is the pH of the soil in your backyard? Now plants require a specific pH range for their healthy growth. To find out the pH required for the healthy growth of a plant, you can collect the soil from various places and check the pH in the pH in the manner described below in activity 2.12. Also, you can note down which plants are growing in the region from which you have collected the soil. Now, how to check pH of a soil? It is not difficult, it is very easy. It is given in activity 2.12. Put about 2 grams soil in a test tube and add 5 ml water to it. Shake the content of the test tube, filter the contents, and collect the filtrate in a test tube. Check the pH of this filtrate with the help of universal indicator paper or pH paper. What can you conclude about the ideal soil pH for the growth of plants in your region? Now what it is saying, that you have to take around about 2 grams soil in a test tube, and then you have to dissolve this in 5 ml of water. Now soil, it is a mixture, as we have discussed, soil is a mixture. So not all the parts of that soil will get dissolved in the water. Some of it will simply suspend in the solid form. Then you have to shake the content of the test tube so that it can be dissolved as much as it can. Then you have to filter the contents, and then you have to collect the filtrate in a test tube. Now if you remember, we have also discussed that there are two parts, one is residue, the other one is filtrate. So what is filtrate? Filtrate is that part which is completely soluble in water, and the residue, which is the solid part which remains suspended and which is getting settled down at the bottom. So when you are filtering it, this content with the help of filter paper, so you are getting filtrate, which is the clear liquid part, and residue, which is the solid part. So you have to take filtrate in a separate test tube, and then you have to check this filtrate with the help of pH paper, and then you have to note down the pH paper. And you, if you want, you can also test several sample of soil for different, which is required for the different plants. Now overall, see, different plants, they are having different necessities and uh, different quality of soils, but generally the pH, or the ideal soil pH for the growth of plant, is near about neutral only. As you can see in the first example, that plants, they also require their pH range is also around 7, which is the neutral pH value. So the soil which is required for their growth, it is generally, not in all the cases, not in all the plants, but generally it is also near about neutral. That means near about 7. It can be, in some of the cases it can be 6, it can be some of the cases around 7.5, or just slightly above 7 or slightly below 7. That means it should be more towards neutral. So somewhere you can find, see, different places, that means in different books and in different sites, you can find different values or different pH range for the ideal soil, or somewhere you will find from 5.5 to 7, or from somewhere you will find to near about 6.5 to 7.5. So it is more towards neutral only, and that is why suppose this kind of questions they can generally ask in objective type questions. So in if it is given in that question four options, then you have to select that option which is having most neutral value, which should be near about 7. So that is the ideal pH for soil. So that is this activity 2.12 and the reason or the explanation of this topic. Now we are having three more, which is very important, especially in importance of pH in everyday life. The three or the two main one, or the last three, all these three are important, but the two most important one is pH in our digestive system and pH change as the cause of tooth decay, and these are slightly we have to discuss it more, and it requires more explanation. So for today, you these are the two topics which we discussed, and the next class we will be discussing about the other three. Thank you.